Hello and welcome to The German Guy Reviews. I'm The German Guy. I love Resident Evil. Now, Silent Hill will always be for me my all-time favorite horror video game series, and I think for most people it's not even a competition, nor should it be. Doing so would be comparing chalk and cheese. One is a franchise that looks into the depths of despair and leaves you emotionally scarred. The other is full of action hero dudes cool as ice who would win in a staring contest with Medusa. But to say Resident Evil is just a brainless, shoot all the things kind of horror is unfair either. There is some hidden, subtle horror elements here. It's just a different kind of horror than Silent Hill has. One is based on the unknown, the things that lurk outside of our perception. Whereas with the other, we know the cause and reason behind it, though it doesn't make it any easier to know that people can be this evil. The two series are cousins, similar but not the same. In Silent Hill, it's about a human evil up close. Murdering husbands, sexual assault, religious fanaticism, random acts of violence. In the other, it's the whole world that's wrong. We are meant to believe that science, technology, civilization and the institutions that guide them will lead mankind into a brighter future for all. But what if these things are corrupt and instead increase human misery to a never before seen scale, or at the very least are ineffective at protecting it from large scale corruption, slowly rotting everything within? What if all of our efforts are for nothing? What if progress is a lie? What if the only direction this roller coaster goes is down? What if humanity simply can't escape its worst qualities? No matter what our heroes do, no matter how many evil laboratories they blow up, there are always new outbreaks somewhere. New psychopaths using the biotech for horrible ends, until even the most idealistic people start to wonder if all of this is just shadowboxing. Because if you can't trust anyone to do the right thing, then the destruction of the world is only a matter of time. Because the virus called evil will spread and spread until it has consumed everything. It only needs to win 0.1% of the time. And when Resident Evil is not about that, well, yes, then it's just a dumb shoot all the crawly things game. But it's fun. Like so many game series that are much beloved, this one got a movie treatment, the Wes Paul Anderson Resident Evil series. And I really thought for a short while it was the other Wes Anderson. Can you imagine Resident Evil in the style of the Grand Budapest Hotel? Weird. And given that I am, as of the time of this writing, close to finishing the entire series on Twitch, where I had to look up the solutions to the puzzles every 5 minutes because they tend to be so obtuse, I decided that I am going to look at the entire Resident Evil movie franchise. So strap in, boys and girls, shoot some vaccines in your veins. This is Resident Evil. Before we begin, there is one other Resident Evil movie that comes before all the others that I want to inspect. Biohazard, as it is originally called in Japan, for the Executor. It's one of those rides at a theme park where you sit in a moving chair and watch a big screen that is also 3D. Whoa, it's like I'm actually in a minecart. So the story starts with a group of mercenaries who work for the Umbrella Corporation, the evil company that creates all the viruses in Resident Evil, going to a seemingly abandoned warehouse in the middle of a zombie outbreak. They look for a certain important doctor. Umbrella's new line of food products. Flash eggs. There's a surprise in each one. So, what I always wondered, do these mercs from Umbrella get hazard pay automatically, or is it only when something happens during a mission? Which is all the time. An infected cockroach watches them afterwards, and we get to see the world through its eyes. Which is cool. I want a first-person cockroach DLC in some RE game now. It attacks a nearby rat to take over its body, and later a crow, thus further increasing its biomass. This is a weird remake of Wheel of Katamari. Also, this turn. It looks like a kid playing with its toy cars. Anyway, they go into the sewers because the signal of the doctor they are looking for is coming from there. Given that the doctor works for Umbrella, she should know what kind of stuff they flush down the toilet there. And they are only under the Chinese restaurant. They blow up a wall, revealing a secret office. A zombie dog attacks them, carrying around the ID card of the dog. So does that make him a dog? One member of the squad says it doesn't matter, since they have come to retrieve the data of a new experiment. And the greatest collection of Sonic fan art in the world! Many people don't know this, but this is what Capcom bases its monster designs on. Suddenly, the soldier that remained in the street is attacked and mutated by the crow that was hunting the remaining guys. Meanwhile, on the street, the other survivor is fighting a horde of zombies until another big spiky cactus monster shows up. They shoot it into itty bitty little pieces and drive off. Why is the music of the Sorcerer's Apprentice playing? Later, the captain wakes up in a military vehicle, glad the nightmare is finally over. But nope, there's one final boo moment, as horror stories tend to do. It is revealed that the doctor was observing them the whole time, and won't let Umbrella take her research. Pretty dickish to put him in a car and making him feel safe, only to kill him later. Also, interesting side note, she is the first antagonist in the series who mentions that she wants to continue her research, not to take over the world, but to turn herself back into a human. And once my work is finished, I'm going to sell the cure, and my commercials are going to have the most impressive before-after pictures ever. The short is pretty great. In 20 minutes, this story captures the whole essence of what Resident Evil is. Survival plus body horror, plus experiments gone wrong, plus betrayal by institutions. And a biohazard that keeps coming back in worse forms, so that you can never be sure if it's truly over.
And now for something completely different.
Originally, George Romero, the all-father of the zombie genre, was supposed to direct the Resident Evil movies. It even was supposed to take place at the Spencer mansion of the first game, and there was a script written with some changes that may or may not would have pissed off fans. For instance, a relationship between Jill and Chris, which I guess is something that would have been a necessary change, since, let's be honest, Resident Evil protagonists really start to become only fully fleshed out three-dimensional characters in their respective sequels. Plus, and this cannot be emphasized enough, we must continue the Redfield plotline! Stoic Soldier and Stoic Soldier, but now it's a woman, is not really much to go by. Also, instead of the missing Alpha team, they were supposed to look for the antivirus. Wesker would be looking for info on the Tyrant instead, and if he died, a machine that measures his heart rate would activate the bombs. Umbrella always goes into rage quit mode when they lose.
Fuck! You're kidding!
Judge. Fuck! Chris was also supposed to be a farmer for some reason. Hey y'all, you were quite in a pickle there. Almost became a sandwich, but now you can snog like a bug in a rock. Yeehaw! And Ada Wong was supposed to show up as a scientist, which is a tendency that a lot of adaptations have. Cram in as many elements and fan favorites from the source material into the work as possible. We don't know if we are going to make a sequel, so if not, we can at least say we created a definite movie version of the thing. Even though they play completely different roles in the original, and if you do make another sequel, you have to retcon a lot or create an all new character to fulfill the role of the one that you reassigned. Like, if you have to have her in the movie, then be smart about it. make it obvious that this lady doesn't seem to know that much at all about science and is pretending in some way. You just don't know why. And then later learn she really is a spy. That being said, it sounds at least way closer to the games than usual video game movies at the time. Plus, Romero watched someone play the entire game, which already is a good sign at least, since it means he gave a shit and tried to be faithful. One of my favorite things to do in these adaptations is to stop the time to find out how long it takes for them to deviate from the source material. They never last longer than 5 minutes. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's finally, without any delay, watch the actual movie. This is Resident Evil by Paul Wes Anderson. So we begin the movie with a kick-ass intro soundtrack made by Marilyn Manson. You can't have a zombie movie without actual ghoul representation. We see a laboratory where a man destroys one of the biohazardous materials. And this is what happens when you don't watch the employee training videos. Wash your hands, wear a hazmat suit, don't throw humanity-ending viruses against the wall. The lab is put on lockdown, but because one of the scientists uses an axe, the zombie-making T-virus, which in this movie series is airborne, leaks out of the room and infects the rest of the facility. You would think that they would put some iron plates over the windows to prevent this very thing. But when one looks up the history of humanity's greatest oopsie-doopsies, Umbrella might actually be the most competent. How did we survive for so long? We are all stupid monkeys! The central computer system then kills some scientists. A zombie outbreak and the machine uprising on the same day. I hate Mondays. I like to imagine that Umbrella has right next to its evil biolab an NFT factory. We then meet Alice, played by Mila Jovovich, who I liked in The Fifth Element because she didn't talk there. And before we continue, a lot of people need to understand this. Actors are rarely ever responsible for the work they put out. That is, there are a million different factors that goes into movie making. Sometimes they are not given clear directions, sometimes the script is bad, sometimes they have a bad day or a week, and sometimes they really are bad at acting. I think Mila Jovovich is the last one, and she admits that herself. Although maybe I should read the article, because I hate it so much when people online show you the headline of something, only that the actual text often says the very opposite of what they claim it does. That is, I would have read the article if the website wasn't asking for a monthly description. So, yeah, it says what it says it does. The point is, it's never okay to go after an actor, writer, or anyone who works on a piece of art. Making fun of them? Yes, but there have to be boundaries. And yeah, I get it. It's frustrating and annoying that these days we mostly get garbage out of entertainment. But that's rather a product of the Hollywood structure. That being said, getting rid of all the people who want to do activism rather than art would definitely be an improvement. Anyway, suddenly the windows are shattered and a bunch of soldiers grab her. Oh my god, when I said in my Discord server that I was going to blow up Parliament, I was joking. Oh no, wait, this is the early 2000s, so it's authorities cracking down on illegal MP3 downloads. In reality, it's a special forces team working for Umbrella. They want to hear Alice's report because apparently she is working for them as well. But she has no memory of it because the mansion's defense mechanism were activated, releasing a gas that erased her memory. Why? I assume this wasn't Umbrella because Umbrella never leaves behind any witnesses. So why did she erase her own memories? It's not like if she gets captured that anyone could read her mind. Plus, it will make the situation she will be inevitably thrown into later way worse. So what is the utility here? As to what kind of knowledge got deleted from her mind, well, more on that later. They take her down beneath her house, and honestly, I got to give credit to the set design here. This genuinely looks like something that would be in one of the games. And I mean, look at that, she has her own train to get to work to. I wish my employer was treating me like that. I want a swarm of birds to pick me up every morning and deliver me straight to the entrance of the company. After the movie is finished with its exposition fest, the gang enters the research facility. With them, a policeman and another guy Alice apparently was married to.
Looks like we're taking the stairs.
Guess these labs and shit are all the way at the very top.
JD, see how bad the flooding is. Kaplan, find us an alternate route.
Here's the door to your body, you see? And these are oversized novelty germs. That's influenza, that's bronchitis, and this cute little cuddlebug is pancreatic cancer. Here's what happens when they all try to get through the door at once. Move it, shout ahead. We call it Three Stooges syndrome.
So what you're saying is, I am indestructible.
Oh, no. In fact, even a slight breeze could...
Indestructible.
They are close to the main computer where everything is operated. The soldiers are then sliced to pieces for zombie goulash. When it looks like at least one is going to make it out, this happens. Shit. Got it. I just like to imagine a bunch of Umbrella engineers sitting around the table one night and going... And yeah, this raises the question, why do villains build their traps in such a way that there is a realistic way to escape? It's my long-standing theory that most bad guys want to lose, because they know if they ever win, they could never show off their skills again. Anyhow, the door opens again, and this time it's actually safe. The room across hosts the so-called Red Queen, the artificial intelligence responsible for the shutdown. Hold on, lasers, which later show up in Resident Evil 4, and an AI called Red Queen, which later appears in Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles? Does Capcom actually like the movie adaptations? I mean, if it's not a coincidence, they must love the movies for how bonkers they are. And to be honest, I would have loved a crazy computer on the island in 4, forcing us to overcome deadly devices after deadly devices. A Portal-style series of experiments. I mean, we already had boulders, spikes on the ceiling and lava rooms. It would not be the craziest thing in that game. Be that as it may, the Red Queen tells the handful of survivors what is waiting for them.
Quite simply, it reanimates the body.
It brings the dead back to life?
Not fully. The subjects have the simplest of motor functions, perhaps a little memory, virtually no intelligence. They are driven by the basest of impulses, the most basic of needs.
Which is?
The need to feed.
Oh my god! They have become Americans! And so finally there is some zombie action in this series about zombies. Which sounds like a redundant thing to ask for, but the source material has been ignored way harder in other places. One of the team members gets bitten and others eaten whole. Also, during the shooting, the damage caused to one of the holding pots releases a liquor. This monster is also going to serve as the final boss of the movie. I mean, yeah, the liquor is one of the iconic abominations of the Resident Evil, but the reason why the Tyrant in the original was such a good final enemy is because he is kind of beautiful. Like Frank Fontaine in Bioshock, the Tyrant looks like the common depiction of the superior man, the Übermensch. The point it is trying to bring across visually with this is the theme of the whole series, of science and progress being corrupted, a stark contrast between what we see and what actually is. The better man is a ruthless killing machine, without feelings or thought. The potential for something incredible for us, to be great, is being wasted and used for evil purposes, which is a tragedy in and of itself. The liquor is just your average run-of-the-mill bioweapon. But fine, it would be too much of me to ask a dumb B-movie to understand this, so I take what I get. Alice, who thereawhile has been separated from the rest of the group, is attacked by the other iconic monsters of RE, the zombie dogs, and she quickly learns that she is super awesome at kung fu and stuff. The reason being, as we later find out, is that she is really a secret agent working for the US government. She took the job at Umbrella to uncover their illegal and unethical science experiments. Keep it down up there! Alice returns to the soldiers. With her, a guy called Matt, who also infiltrated Umbrella to expose them. The survivors decide to take an underground maintenance tunnel to escape, but are suddenly surrounded.
You like that, don't you, huh? Huh? You like the way it tastes, don't you?
Oh, god damn it! One dude gets separated from the rest, and we are for a second meant to think that he killed himself, but in actuality he shot one of the undead and crawled away. The man who Alice had a fake marriage with, called Spence, turns out to be a surprise villain. He wanted to steal the virus and sell it on the black market. He also caused the whole outbreak. Spence leaves Alice and the others to their fate, but before he has the chance to escape, he is ripped to pieces by the Licker. The Red Queen wants Alice to kill the person in their group that has been infected so that the security protocols can stay intact. Well, it's a bit too late for that! The Licker was already outside of the laboratory premises. But our heroes instead smash the screen.
Ah, bless your little primate brain. I'm not actually in the room with you, am I? Technology. It's complicated. You can't hurt the big old god face.
But for some reason this actually does shut down the entire system and unlocks the door. And I told them all, putting the motherboard in a random TV in the laboratory somewhere instead of the bunker guarded by lasers is a bad idea. No, actually it turns out it was the other guy who shot her down. But what a cool coincidence that one thing and the other happened simultaneously. Thanks for your help, but I wished you could have been 5 seconds faster, because now I have broken glass all over my face. They make it onto the train, and of course get attacked by the Licker, which has mutated a bit. And I mean a bit, because I don't see much of a difference to before. But it's nice that they know that this is something a Resident Evil boss does. During the fight, the cure they give their comrade didn't do anything. She turns anyway, which makes it even harder to beat the Licker. But they do eventually manage to kick it off. When it looks like they are finally safe, they are surprised by more Umbrella goons, who first take Matthew away for further experimentation, then Alice. But when she wakes up on an operating table, she is able to just walk out, because, as the newspaper announces, the dead have risen. Who still prints newspapers during the apocalypse? Who is delivering them? Little Billy always had problems with that nasty neighborhood dog coming after him, but now the chase is more intense than ever before. And so the movie ends, with Alice shotgun in hand ready to take on the zombie hordes. How did the virus get out, by the way? Did the ventilation system down in the lab just pump the dangerous air up to the surface or something? Anyway, what do I think about the first Resident Evil movie? Well, I have come to a realization. Obviously, it hasn't that much to do with the games, but a game adaptation is something very different than, say, a book, which is basically already a script ready. A better metric by which to measure this type of film is to look for how far the aesthetics and the feel of what is being adapted is being translated. Well, we got a team of trained fighters, we got an evil corporation conspiracy, we got betrayal, an idealistic hero, and we got a sterile industrial environment. All of that feels pretty much like Resident Evil. At least so much so that I can say it has Resident Evil DNA. Get it? Now, this is not to say it doesn't need to get any closer to the source material. It definitely needs to. There's definitely room for improvement. But let's be really honest for a moment. Resident Evil was always a campy B-movie story. And that feeling it captures pretty well. It's 2 movies later when we completely deviate from the source material and it becomes Resident Evil in name only. And that god-awful Netflix show. But all in due time. But what about looking at it from a neutral standpoint, removed from its Resident Evil context? Is it a good movie overall? Well, it's okay-ish. It definitely gets a lot of hate, but I think that's undeserved. We need to see it for what it is, a guilty pleasure all the way. It's campy, the cuts and zooms in many places try and fail to distract from the fact that there isn't all that much going on really, but it's dumb kind of fun. The soundtrack slaps and there are some genuinely well done unexpected surprises. It's trying, you guys. It's really trying. Really, you should reserve your hate for later. The German guy out and auf Wiedersehen.